Moving on 21st March, Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal was arrested by the ED in connection with the excise policy alleged scam. Now, he's the first sitting Chief Minister to be arrested, and he has already declared that he will not be quitting and will be running the government from jail. In the last 3 days, Arvind Kejriwal has reportedly issued 2 orders while in ED custody. A lot of eyebrows have been raised by these assertions or claims that have been made by their party leaders but also ministers in the Delhi government. A massive war of words has erupted over this. The BJP has attacked the Chief Minister over his misconduct and called these orders illegal and unconstitutional. They've claimed that our ministers were misusing their power and authority, but the Aam Aadmi Party has defended their move, saying Kejriwal will not quit. AAP went on to say that if they need it, they will seek permission of the courts to run the government with the CM behind bars. While the AAP cadre is staging protests against the BJP and accusing them of murdering democracy, the Chief Minister, on the other hand, is passing these orders from jail. So what are these orders exactly? On 24th March, Arvind Kejriwal purportedly issued his first order to Atishi Marlena, asked her to address the ongoing water supply and sewer problems in the capital. Today, Arvind Kejriwal has apparently issued a second order from jail regarding the health department. In his order, Arvind Kejriwal told Saurabh Bhardwaj, the minister concerned, to ensure that there is no shortage of free medicines in mohalla clinics and hospitals. But how is Arvind Kejriwal able to give these orders while in ED custody? That's the biggest question that comes to everyone's mind, because Arvind Kejriwal has no access to a computer or files or stationery while in ED custody. It's just not granted to anybody in ED custody. Lawyers are allowed to meet a person in custody only for legal counsel. They're not there to do this job. The family is allowed to offer emotional support and, of course, discuss other matters. But nobody from the government has met Arvind Kejriwal in custody. So how is he giving these instructions? And how are they being passed around? Rules don't allow any such instructions to be issued while in ED custody. So the biggest question is not just whether these claims are actually accurate, but if we were to go by the Aam Aadmi Party's version, how is this happening? And the larger moral question that is still hanging on the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal is, if this is the correct way to go about it, should Arvind Kejriwal instead not resign?
आपका मुख्यमंत्री चाहे जेल में है, मगर सोच वो सिर्फ आपके लिए रहा है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ जनता के लिए मुख्यमंत्री सोच रहे हैं। और उनकी चिंता यही है कि उनके जाने के बाद पीछे कोई व्यवस्था खराब ना हो।
ये दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री का ऑर्डर है और मुख्यमंत्री जी ने ईडी कस्टडी में जेल में रहते हुए ही ऑर्डर पास किया। ये टोटल इलीगल था, अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल था और ये मुख्यमंत्री के ऑफिस का मिसयूज है।
All right, Anuja Kapoor of the BJP stays with us. Siddharth Sharma of the Aam Aadmi Party is joining us. Swapnil Kothari is noted lawyer with us as well. Swapnil, why don't I begin with you? What do you make of these claims being made that Arvind Kejriwal is somehow passing instructions to people he hasn't met in custody? How is this possible?
Good evening, Shivani. I believe that some half an hour is allowed for him to meet people. That's what I heard. And maybe in that he's passing his orders. Now, to be very accurate legally, I don't see that there is any constitutional bar. Unless, of course, you're convicted, you've got to demit office. Now, if Hemant Soren resigned because there was some case against him, that's his lookout, that's his morality. My morality as Delhi Chief Minister possibly is a little tougher in that sense that, I'm not that kind of a person who's going to resign so immediately. Tomorrow, if there could be a fictitious case against me, am I just supposed to quit? So I'm giving you both sides of the coin. And in this, of course, ED has a case because obviously, you have a 50 crore house, which is disproportionate to your income. And of course, you've got a lot of questions to ask. And more importantly, Shivani, let me tell you that there was an application that was filed in the Supreme Court to prevent his arrest. That was withdrawn the moment he got arrested. Then there was an application in the Supreme Court to be heard overnight or maybe early next morning, which again was also withdrawn. And it was decided by the lawyers to fight out the battle in the remand in the trial court. Now, obviously, that is a legal strategy that they've adopted.
I'll come to that in just a bit. Swapnil, I'll come to that in just a bit. Surely you don't have to answer the moral question that Arvind Kejriwal faces. I'll post that to the politicians on the panel. But what is interesting is that Atishi has claimed she has a document sent to her from the ED custody with Arvind Kejriwal's directions. Now, that is what is raising eyebrows. Do you find that odd?
I do actually, because I don't know where is the typewriter, where is how it is sent, under what directions and how. So basically, that is something best which only the Aam Aadmi people can answer. And, I'm not interested in this more so because I'm more interested in the larger question. Of course, these are all questions you've asked very pertinent questions. Those raise eyebrows as to how exactly this government is being run from inside the jail.
Because that is the larger question. If you can, as the chief minister, even if you don't hold a portfolio, run a government from inside jail. I'll come back to you in just a bit, Swapnil, but let me take that same question to Siddharth Sharma. Siddharth, what's going on? The ED or the manuals are very clear. You don't have any access to any stationery, any paper, pen. Certainly your lawyers are not doing this. If they are, is this the right use in letter in spirit of your time with your lawyer? These questions arise. So how are these instructions, especially written orders, being given?
Yeah, Shivani, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this seems to be a classic case of kettle being hotter than the tea here. A constitutional authority sworn to serve the people of Delhi is serving people. It's as simple as that. And the TV studios have an objection to that. Surprisingly, the Enforcement Directorate doesn't have an objection to it as of now. Now, there is a simple thing, and I think Swapnil will answer this better. Wherever there is a crime, there are three entities in a crime. One is a victim, one is the perpetrator, and the third is a prosecutor. The prosecutor right now is the Prime Minister of India, the PMO office, under which the ED comes. Surprisingly, the Prime Minister is a teetotaler. Now, the victim, the perpetrator here is called as Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. Surprisingly, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal doesn't eat even onions or garlic. The third is the victim here. The point here is that the consumers here, not a single consumer has filed a case. So this is essentially a joke that
you are discussing the merits of the case. Siddharth, 1 second. You are discussing the merits of the case. Let's refrain from...
There is no crime. There is no crime.
Okay, fine. Let's refrain from discussing the merits of the case. I think we've done that in the run-up to Arvind Kejriwal's arrest. Plus, the party better argue this in court. If there was no case...
Why are you having this debate?
1 second. If there was no case to be made out, certainly some of your leaders, including Minister concerned of the time, Excise Minister Swapnil...
If you had a debate, I'll answer to that.
Excise Minister Manish Sisodia at the time would not have been in jail for a year if there was prima facie no case. So I'm just saying, let's not get into that because that's not the focus of today's debate. The focus of today's debate is if it is believable that Arvind Kejriwal is somehow issuing some written orders from inside ED custody, and secondly, if he should be doing this to begin with. Let me bring in Anuja now. Anuja, constitutionally, most people say while there may be no precedent to this, there is no bar to this either. So what is your objection to Arvind Kejriwal, quote-unquote, running his government from custody?
So, Jai Shri Ram, Shivani, we see another, motor mouth sitting here.
Let's not do this. No. Let's not do this. Anuja, let's not do this. Let's not make any comments on other panelists, please.
You will listen it very soon when I am going to speak. He'll do that because I know that. Now, what we're going to say is that the constitutional post of Arvind Kejriwal, when he says that I do not want to resign, but inside in ED, has not given him any kind of a computer and any kind of a gadget from where he can do this kind of things. Either he does not believe in his own two ministers who are of those departments, Atishi and Saurabh Bhardwaj, who are capable of taking care of their own departments, and they need a spoon feeding from inside, from the Tihar jail, or from the from the remand. So what he's looking into is who is the one who is an intermediator in between Arvind Kejriwal and these two people, how he has been taking care of this portal, who has been guiding them, and how the things are been happening. Because when we see around the government, which I have also on the record, that the High Court warned Delhi Minister Saurabh Bhardwaj, we will send you to jail regarding the same health.
No, that's a different issue.
Been happening.
Can I ask you though, Anuja, can I ask you though, if Arvind Kejriwal, one second, if Arvind Kejriwal was to insist that he will run his government from, let's say, in custody, tomorrow he could be in jail proper as well, what is it that the BJP's objection is?
There is no CMO connect with him. He's using the CMO office, how the things are happening, how he is passing on the orders. That is the same thing we are asking. We're directly asking this question to the ED and to these people, how and how he is taking it off.
Okay.
Because the CCTV
so it's not so much a moral question per se, while that moral question exists, Siddharth, but it is also a practical question. How are you going to run your government from custody?
Yeah, let me answer to the moral question first. So basically, the surmise here is that anybody under ED investigation is morally supposed to resign, right? Now ask the same question to Mr. Himant Biswa Sharma, who is the Chief Minister of Assam, and he will throw the Constitution book on Anuja Kapoor's face. It's as simple as that, and I think Swapnil will also agree to that. Okay. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Now coming to the larger point here. Why are you shouting, Anuja? Anuja, when you are speaking, I was listening. You get nervous, and when you get nervous, you start shouting. You're not letting the other person speak.
Okay.
So Shivani, if she wants to speak, why are you showing me?
I will try to give all of you appropriate amount of time, but if you want to be heard, then it's better one person at a time. Anuja, please hold on. Siddharth.
Giving the orders.
Who's
giving the orders?
Anuja, please hold on. I asked you that question. You've had your say. Siddharth, so you were talking about the moral question plus also the practical question. Is it fair for Arvind Kejriwal to hold on to be the chief minister without portfolios and, give this sense that, okay, I'm still working from jail because I have this sense of service? All of that may be fine. But practically, can he run the government from jail?
So is it fair that now the game is, your question has tilted. Now you're asking about the fair play. Now, is it fair when the model code of conduct is in place and Mr. Arvind Kejriwal as the leader of Aam Aadmi Party is supposed to campaign? How can the ED arrest him? Is it fair that Mr. Himant Biswa Sharma, who is also under ED investigation, he can be the chief minister? So essentially you are saying that BJP has an immunity to abuse law. BJP can burn anybody's house with the matchbox, but I cannot even cook my food with a matchbox.
So the question I was asking you was exactly the opposite. The question I was asking you was one, that even if you were to surpass the moral question of he should continue as the chief minister, which no other politician has ever done in Indian history, the question is about practicality. How can he run a government when he doesn't have access to government files, he doesn't have access to his ministers or other officials concerned? You're sidestepping that question.
No, I'm not sidestepping.
One by one, please. Only Siddharth and me, please.
Anuja, you are asking me a practical question. The practical answer is BJP has confessed to 60 crore of liquor scam accused money parked in its garage. So BJP takes funds from money launderers. Now Kejriwal got arrested on BJP funders statement. Fine, you arrested him. Now since the law is equal to all, now the 60 crore question to BJP supporters is Vishwaguru Pradhanji running the government or are BJP funders like Mr. Reddy are running the government? Since ED investigation,
you're
money found
sidestepping the question
BJP,
again.
Everything cannot
be, look what so-and-so is doing.
Kejriwal was. India now suspects Pradhanji's grip on BJP
Siddharth,
is
I don't
gone.
understand.
It is the Reddys it is the Reddys and those people who have given 8,250
Okay,
crores
Siddharth, can I
to
come in now? You must
electoral bonds
really
that is
feel
owning
that I've
BJP.
given you a lot of time
Pradhanji
today
is
because
just a
every time I
facade.
ask you a question,
Pradhanji is now
you give
just a facade
absolutely
now.
unconnected answers. But
No, I asked you.
my point is this, you've taken such a big call on telling the public of Delhi that, listen, the Chief Minister may be in jail, but no new Chief Minister will be appointed, even though that has been the political norm in India. I've given you repeated opportunities to explain that stance to the public, but you're not doing it. Anyways, I want to go across to Swapnil Kothari now. Sorry, Siddharth, I gave you an opportunity repeatedly. Swapnil Kothari, do you think that eventually there is a possibility that the LG could invoke the sections available to him, and we refer to some of those sections that is available, particularly in the case of the National Capital Territory of Delhi, where there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery. Do you think there could be a fit case here?
Well, I doubt it, because you see, the LG may come up and say whatever it wants to and say that, I should be standing in the CM's shoes now. CM was all along the ones who had the power as per the Supreme Court judgment on key issues. But, the question...
No, that either
question,
a new chief minister is appointed. Surely the LG cannot be
correct.
chief minister. Either
Correct.
a new chief minister is appointed, or
correct.
there should be president's rule.
Correct, exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. So, Shivani, the thing is that they can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, ultimately, when this matter will be battled out in the court, to resign or not to resign is for the Enforcement Directorate to tell the Supreme Court, because the larger question, as you asked, is that you cannot run a government from behind bars. You do not have access to all the things that you had when you sat in your office, in your chambers, in your office. You don't have that, and you have basically only half an hour time to meet people.
So the ED
from
could
whatever I've
possibly
heard.
go to court.
ED
We're
could
hearing
say
that the ED already is very suspicious of this claim that has come in from Atishi.
Exactly.
They will likely do some sort of
They-
internal
more likely.
inquiry,
But-
and they could go
yeah,
to
but I
court
want
and
to-
say that the conditions of meetings that are allowed to an accused in our custody are being violated.
Absolutely. They could say that. And they could also say that this is not the way to run a government. The Supreme Court may pass an order. You can temporarily suspend the operations of the government. I don't know what the Supreme Court in its wisdom would do, and then who would be taking its stead, whether it would be the deputy CM or whatever it may be. But Shivani, my question is on a bigger point. Now, I can understand, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesman, losing his cool and, going a little bit in a larger tone. But, that only defeats the purpose, because when you shout out loud, you tend to sort of, weigh into the opposition's point of view more so. You need to be very calm and composed in this. And second part, more importantly, the legal point, which I have not liked personally as a lawyer. If I am a lawyer and if I am opposing, even if my client is at fault, assuming that Mr. Kejriwal is at fault. I do not know. I am not the Enforcement Directorate, but I believe Enforcement Directorates do not just come out with these cases. When you have 9 summons to issue, you should have come within the first 3 summons itself. You cannot tell a court of law that, at the very first summons, I would have been arrested. The immediate question from the judge would be, oh, so that means you are guilty? अरे ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है कि आपको फर्स्ट समझ में बुला लिया आपको कोई भी अरेस्ट कर ले. Okay, that's one. Number 2, the second point, Shivani, let me finish. The second point is very, very important, is that when he was about to be arrested, why was this thing withdrawn by the lawyers in the Supreme Court, his, prevention of arrest? 1. 2, next day also they said that, okay, we'll not fight it out in the Supreme Court. We'll not fight for the quashing of the proceedings. We'll fight it out in the trial court. Now, these are the very important points.
I think they took the cue in the fact that K. Kavita's plea 1 did not get any relief. And in the past, particularly under PMLA sections, there is no...
Precisely.
There is no, maybe the room for a court to give you that kind of leeway.
Yes,
and in any case, I don't think the Supreme Court would like to be seen as interfering in a politician's case. They will ask them to go back to the requisite court, which is the trial court in this case. Anuja, final 30 seconds to you as well. Is it a moral question or is it a practical question? Again, I ask you, what is your problem if Arvind Kejriwal runs the government from inside jail?
There are both the questions, moral as well as legal. What we are looking into is that how do you going to do it from the inside the jail? Secondly, on the moral background, where Arvind Kejriwal, when he came to power, he was the one who was shouting at the top of his voice that during the investigation, everybody should come down from their post and should resign and should not be into that constitutional post at all. You are being an elected CM, sir, and Arvind Kejriwal, how can you give this an example to the people around? You are unconstitutional, unethically taking up, sitting on your post, which does not belong to you anymore on moral background.
Okay.
So you have to come off on this, and you have to figure it out. Everybody on this point, whereas BJP has already given their complaint to the LG and to the ED, and we're talking about this, how he has been signing when you do not have your ministers with you.
Okay, all right. I think ultimately it is both a moral and a practical question. The practical question may come up in court sooner rather than later, but there is an attempt to make this a moral and a political question, which will be ultimately judged by the public.
Like Anuja had. Can I also have 10 seconds like Anuja
10 seconds, please. Yes, Siddharth.
Yeah, when the Vishwaguru Pradhanji can stop the Russia-Ukraine war sitting in India without going to Russia or Ukraine, I think Arvind Kejriwal sitting in Delhi can run Delhi. Then my 10 seconds is over, so I rest my case. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Like I said, ultimately the public will be the judge of whether that is the right thing to do in politics. Thank you for that, Siddharth, Anusha and Swapnil. I do thank you all for joining us.